I don't have any things to show, so for this video, I'm just going to talk about what I have learned from watching Bob Ross videos and how it has improved my painting skills throughout this semester. And yeah, this year basically. So I'll start with like the skies because I learned like there's different orders to paint things and to make the picture appear closer and more realistic. So you always start with the background and you just go down. The background's at the top of the canvas and it goes down to the midground and then the foreground is usually at the bottom. So that was one thing I noticed. And I'll start by talking about the skies. So the skies, you can make them as detailed or as like hazy or whatever you want. Depends on what time of day you want. If it's dusk, you obviously start with like a brighter color, and then the colors slowly die down as it goes out. Say like you want to make a moon, it'll be very just like straight white, and then like it'll slowly go to the gray, and then like maybe even go into dark gray and then black, and that's where you can make the moon really pop out. And then in the midground or like the background, you can what I like just like mountains. So I've noticed like you start with like a black um layer just to get a surface down, and obviously like there's no shading or stuff on there yet, so it's just going to look like a 2D mountain. And then to make it 3D, you pick where you want the mountain to be like um with light and shadow. So like that's how it makes the peak come up to the top. And so the mountains, I never knew this, but if you like look close enough at paintings, like half of a mountain is like white or very light blue, and then the other half is like a darker blue or just blue with very little white. And that really like brings your eye to the point at which they meet, and that's what gives it the mountains the peaks, and tricks your brain into having that illusion. Then also like in front of the mountains, if they're really far away, you want it to be hazy because things further away are lighter and hazier. They're not brighter, but or yeah, they're not brighter, but they're less detailed and hazier. So like you can put a little like brushes of white to give a mist look, and that makes your brain think it's in the distance. And then in the foreground, everything has to be like as detailed as possible. It's like the closer it is, the more detailed it is. Like you get the trunks in the trees, you get the lighting on the trees. Like you got the back, or the first layer on the trees is darker, and then you like highlight it depending on where the light source is coming from. So that's one thing I had to figure out is like where to put even a small amount of light or a lot of light. So it really just depends on what you're painting. But that's really the main things I've learned. So I'm kind of happy. Like I can easily continue this throughout my life and maybe even like start selling some paintings if I want to. So that is what Bob Ross has taught me. See you next week.